Welcome to another first day video. Today I have a story from Shonen Jump Plus created by the mangaka called Hachi. The name of this manga is Dark Doctor Ikuru, or the Dark Doctor Ikuru, let's not forget the articles. If I had to say anything about this cover, here you can see the cover first of all. Well, it would probably be the question if both of these characters are girls. And besides that, it looks pretty neat. Seeing blood on the cover already means that this manga could be quite dark, as the name might suggest. Looking at Hachi's past, there is nothing to go off. This creator has only done a story that didn't get translated, so this could very well be considered their first big work. Will the series be realistic, sci-fi or fantasy? The title alone doesn't tell us just yet, so let us take a look at the summary on the Manga Plus website. A catastrophic event has thrust the world into an age where disease begets disease. Ostracized for his unconventional treatment methods, the Dark Doctor Ikuru is stricken with an immortalizing disease. On a desperate mission to die, he must save a world desperate to live. This medical science fiction adventure will go to the very edge of humanity and back in one man's search for an ending to his suffering, all while saving the world he wishes to leave. That answered a lot of my questions already. So the Dark Doctor Ikuru is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi story of a male doctor seeking his own death because he's immortal apparently. Well, the premise or summary is now clear, but more questions flood into my head. What was the catastrophic event? How did Ikuru become immortal? What does immortalizing disease actually mean? Who is the other person in the cover? And how is he supposed to save the world? As I value honesty, I have to tell you that while this premise is interesting, it doesn't necessarily sound like my type of story. But I will at least read the first chapter for this video and maybe the remaining 5 to actually form my opinion for this new manga. The title of the first chapter is very fitting. We start the story with "I want to die now." I expect a lot of dark themes, but with my current amount of information, I can't make a guess just yet if this will be a long or a short story. As always, I put the link of the manga into the description. So if you want to check it out yourself first, do that right now. And if you are still here, I assume that you either came back from reading already or don't mind a few spoilers here and there. After a nice reading session of the first chapter, here are my ideas, thoughts and other things. Hey, I was right. The path Dark Doctor Ikuru is going down is a post-apocalyptic story. This first chapter was all about zombies, but I don't know if that will be the entire focus, even though a zombie story could be interesting. But I also have to say I'm not the biggest fan of zombie stories because they just don't really itch my interest that much. If like Dark Doctor Ikuru follows the normal standards of zombie stories, I wouldn't be interested. But because it's a manga and I have not read that many zombie related mangas, this one might turn out different compared to the Western zombie stories. But I will try to be objective for the sake of a fair perspective on the series. The chapter starts within a hospital and we see people being treated, but we quickly learn that there are incurable diseases that one day just appeared on Earth. Millions of these diseases. Well, with such big numbers being talked about, we could argue that one chapter reveals one new disease and how to treat it, or maybe sometimes it takes multiple chapters to solve like the mystery around a disease or something. Even with the miraculous powers of Dr. Ikuru, it might take him a bit longer for some certain scenarios. Does that mean we will get millions of chapters? Well, obviously not. I know that Ikuru's main goal is death, and we also got a sneak peek at why he is trying to die. As I already predicted, this manga is quite bloody, and you could even use the word grotesque. With that said, if you don't like themes like death, heavy use of blood and very deformed bodies, this story might not be for you. Even for me, I felt at least a slight feeling of disgust at some of the drawings. So if you have a sensitive stomach, skip this manga maybe. But not the video, after all the algorithm likes view time. Like every other story about zombies, the people are looking for a cure for the situation. Only in this case there apparently are countless different diseases that trigger various zombie versions. I hope for the sake of the people living in that world that more people than just Ikuru can cure the zombie disease. But even if they have medicine for the diseases, Ikuru is a very special case because he is also infected by a disease. Ikuru can never die. He can't age. If he gets his flesh ripped off, it almost instantly recovers, and he also doesn't need to eat. For infected zombies, his blood is the perfect cure. Well, first he needs to get bitten himself, and after recovering his body, he has the perfect antibodies for the situation. In some cases, he reminds me of Orochimaru from Naruto. Ikuru might be helping the people he meets, but he gives off a very uneasy feeling. I mean, who would trust a doctor that always says he wants to die? His recovery rate makes him similar to Andy from Undead Unluck, but I would say that Ikuru is more human than Andy. However, that could change in the future. We still don't know how long Earth has been fighting against these diseases. I would guess less than 100 years. But if Ikuru was part of a generation where it all started, he still suffered for quite some time already. The art style didn't impress me too much. It's by no means bad, but nothing really stuck out to me. Dr. Ikuru's clothing seems quite old-fashioned or more traditional compared to other characters, which might give my idea of him living for hundreds of years more weight. And if you like nurse outfits, this story also has something for you naughty people. For the regular people, Ikuru is quite starry. They call him a thanatophile, which according to the manga means to derive pleasure from death. If you don't know Ikuru's actual reasons, he for sure seems like an absolute maniac. Nevertheless, they rely on him because of his special abilities and his fearlessness. He may want to die, but saving humanity could happen first. I expect multiple factions in the story. One that wants to save and recover the people that turned into zombies or got diseases. Another that just wants to kill all of the zombies to rescue humanity. And the last one seeking to survive. Ikuru doesn't really fit into any of these, which further shows that he is not like the other humans. Calling him a zombie wouldn't be wrong in my opinion, because zombies are immortal in a way as well, so is he. And the zombies also hide many mysteries. After all, we don't know how these diseases actually came to Earth. Was it God's idea to get rid of humanity? Was it an alien force or just some random situation? We just don't know. Why exactly is the voice telling the people infected by zombie diseases to eat other people? It kind of reminds me of Dr. Stone if you already read the manga. Rescuing people who only know despair, bringing back their loved ones they thought would never return from the zombie state, and so much more. The Dark Doctor Ikuru will probably bring us emotional moments, action-filled fights, and pseudoscience to cure the world of its diseases. Describing it like that does sound intriguing. Will you check out this manga, and what are your opinions on this first chapter? Please tell me in the comments. It's always interesting to hear the opinions of other people, and it would be amazing if we could build a positive community to talk about new and ongoing manga. But today is all about the Dark Doctor Ikuru, so let us stay on track. For the future of this series, I predict Ikuru and the girl on the cover, Eva I guess, traveling around the world. Ikuru trying to die and Eva accompanying him to see the miracle of healing infected zombies. The question is, how fast will they actually experience difficulties on their journey? How often will Eva be at risk of dying? And how many people will be scared when Ikuru dies and just recovers? How dark will the series really be? Well, I have to wait to find out. But what I can do already is putting a score on this chapter. The Dark Doctor Ikuru will take 3rd place in the ranking, with a score of 6.6 out of 10. It was no bad chapter, but it didn't flash me. This is not only because I'm not a fan of darker stories. Compared to other dark manga, it just didn't give me the same feelings of horror and anxiety. After all, the world in the story still has a very clear light of hope in Ikuru. And logically thinking, because diseases are something multiple people can have, who is to say that nobody besides Ikuru is immortal and can heal humanity the same way he does? It would be interesting to see how two immortal characters interact with each other. If both have been immortal for a long time, their total indifference could be a comedic contrast to the horrified reactions of the normal people. However, if Ikuru meets somebody that just recently turned immortal, this one might turn out to be a nice test subject or a student. Just like every human is different from another, the same can be said for immortals, maybe even to a greater extent because they live for a longer time. We have already seen the indifferent and death-seeking Ikuru, but there can also be someone who feels like a god, after all being able to heal everything and everyone, and also never dying. Well, people might start to form a religion around such a person. The third type I can think of are saviors, that don't want to die but actually save the world. These people might be gullible to deception and become test objects for scientists that just want to use their abilities to save the world. There are many different ways how this story can turn out, and it is up to us to support this and every story enough so that the mangaka can show us their full potential. This has been Pyro Primer, and all that's left to say is stay happy, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay cultured. See you in the next video. Bye!